All right, folks, welcome back to the Night's Watch. I'm Jacob.
I'm Alex.
And Alex, let me tell you, man, I am so excited. And let me just say, if you are not rooting for Connor McDavid to win a cup, then you hate hockey. Plain and simple.
I guess I totally despise hockey.
I just really want Connor McDavid to win a cup. I want the cup to go back to Canada. That's all I dream about. It's just such a feel-good story. Like, how can you not root for that?
I mean, it's Canada sport, right? They deserve it.
It's Canada sport.
They deserve it.
It's been 30 whatever odd years. Nah, just kidding. Yeah, so we're back in hell, literally and figuratively. We went to the beautiful beaches of San Diego, took a little break, come back home. It's 108 degrees, and
Connor McDavid in Florida in the finals again.
Yep. So it's basically Adolf Hitler versus Joseph Stalin. So pick who you're rooting for, I guess.
I think I'd pick more of a Hitler versus. I'm just trying to think of like worst
Pol
Pot. Yeah, I was gonna say worst dictators. What was Mao who led the last Chinese regime?
I don't know. I don't have a list of dictators at hand, but yeah. So this sucks.
Yeah, I mean the Oilers beat the Stars in 5, and then the Panthers beat the Canes in 5 too, right?
Yeah. So really anticlimactic and underwhelming, but to make it Vegas centric,
yeah,
because that's what we do.
Yeah.
No apologies. Is it a little bit validating or make it a little better that we lost in 5 as well?
Yeah.
Like is it easier to say like, well, it's not that we choked or whatever. It's just Edmonton's
it was
just
really
a
good.
Fucking force.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's something to take away with like. Edmonton,
it doesn't make me feel that much better.
No,
because I'm like, well, that should be us.
Yeah, it should be us. But I mean, obviously we all had our criticisms of Edmonton, right? And there's issues, but clearly they're playing their game right, and the game plan's being executed, and they're playing the best they can play. And
well, I kind of alluded to this last time, but I know it's our favorite pastime to pick at their roster and tear apart and. No depth, no goaltending, no whatever. And what's crazy is I feel like that's all still true. I don't know how they're performing at this level.
Yeah.
But I'm done questioning it, and I'm just
accepting that they're playing really well.
I've just accepted that the two best teams in the league are the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
That's just all there is to it.
Yeah.
And
prove it otherwise, and have somebody else make the finals other than these same two teams.
It's not like, I was like, oh, we lost one game. Like, no, it was a 7-game series, and then they beat Dallas in a 7-game series. Like,
yeah.
To me, that just takes out the questions, takes out the flukes,
Yeah. No, they're playing really well.
And they did it without their best defenseman.
Yeah. And as soon as he was in, Dallas looked like dog shit. Like,
yeah, frankly, they looked like dog shit the whole series.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who looked like dog shit? The Canes won one. That was their first Eastern Conference Finals win since they won the Cup, I think.
Yeah, since we were in high school. And we're old.
Well, kill me. Kill me. I'm not going to make a prediction on this series. I don't care either way. As a hockey fan, I think it's going to be another good series. I think Edmonton is deeper than they were last year, forward-wise.
That's the thing. Someone pointed this out. Last time, it wasn't even really that good of a series in the sense that none of the games were close. Like, every game was a blowout.
I think this series will be a lot closer.
It just switched which team was blowing who out.
Yeah, I think this series will be a lot closer, though, like, play-wise.
Because...
they've both been scoring a lot.
Because that's a thought that I had, too, with, like, Florida and the Canes. I'm like, well, yeah, the Canes won a game, but, like, somehow the last series between them felt closer because... every game was like overtime, and
Yeah, last year, right?
Or I think it was the year before.
Yeah, whatever year.
The last time they met.
Yeah, it was. It was the quote that Brendan Moore had was.
We didn't get swept.
We didn't get swept because, like you said, they lost 1-goal games or overtime games.
Yeah,
These games were decisive.
Yeah, it was still a sweep, but
the games that Florida won were decisive.
Yeah, it was
like
it was just like immediately. Like, as soon as that series started, I was like, yeah, so it turns out the Canes aren't good. They just played...
shitty teams.
They just played the Caps.
And the Devils.
The Devils.
Jack Hughesless and Luke Hughesless and no Siegenthaler for half the series and an injured Devils team, and they played a fraud of the Caps team.
Yeah, and as soon as that first game against Florida, I was like, it's immediately clear that they're just two different classes of team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, have you seen that picture of, like, the tiger, and they're, like, releasing it into the wild after living in captivity, and, like, the tiger's eyes are all wide and it looks terrified and it won't come out of the trailer.
Yeah.
And the caption's always like, "Oh, he just realized he ain't built for this." I feel like that was the Canes.
Yeah.
The Canes played one game against Florida, and like, oh, they're not built for this.
Well, I mean, they've made mistakes. I'm sure they would have played better with Rantanen, but you also say that about the Dallas series, and Rantanen was invisible against
after
the Oilers.
Yeah, and that's not
after dominating the Avs, he was invisible.
Well, I was going to say, it's like he, in a way, he kind of carried that team through the first 2 rounds, and then just
disappeared. But then again, the rest of the players.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like none of the players ever. I wouldn't say they disappeared because they never appeared. Like, it was basically just the Rantanen show. Then as soon as he got shut down, everyone else was like, "Oh."
Well, did you see that stat? Everybody talking about Wyatt Johnston, how good he's been in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. He had the worst plus minus of any player in the playoffs after that series.
This is the team that beat our super team.
Yeah.
In the first round last year. This is fucking bullshit.
This Dallas team was better than that team last year, I would argue.
Well, I know.
Maybe not the defense, but like the forwards were way better than they were last year. Mikael Granlund and who else did they bring in? I'm blanking on somebody, but they brought in so many pieces, and the Heiskanen was back, and Lindell's been playing really well. Bichelle's been stepping up, being super young.
At the end of the day,
Oilers just dominated them.
If you have Cody Ceci on your team, you just can't be good.
That's very true. Very true. Cody Ceci. Yeah, I mean, look, Cody Ceci was on the Oilers for a while. They didn't go far.
That was the key. You jump. I still maintain that. I don't know how they're defending so well when
I think it's the mentality of I think it's the player
Not exactly, because you look at their decor and I'm like, okay, it's like 3 offensive defensemen and 3
Matthias Ekholm
and like 3 replacement level players, and then now Ekholm's back. Yeah. He's like an actual defenseman. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's just a mindset and just
I mean, look how good Jake Wallman's been.
Yeah,
like that. We kind of made fun of that trade.
Look how good John Klingberg is.
He's been good.
I thought his career was fucking over.
Yeah, he's been good. I mean, they're all just playing with the mentality of we can win. I think that's, and you said it before this podcast started. If Edmonton hires a good coach, we're all fucked.
Yeah.
The scariest thing that Edmonton could do is hire a good coach, and they went out and hired a good coach.
Well, as hilarious as it was to watch Jay Woodcroft get fired and never get hired again, despite all these vacancies, and people are like, "Well, Jake Woodcroft's out there. Yeah, he's going to stay. He's going to stay out there."
And fucking Lane Lambert got hired before he did.
Yep. But that was the worst thing. They got a new coach, and it turns out he's pretty good.
Yeah. Yep.
And even though it was easy to make fun of it as an old boys selection at the time, bringing Paul Coffey on board to help with the defense.
Yeah.
They're playing. They are defending very well.
Really well. Very well.
I think didn't Dallas only score like 5 goals in the last 4 games or something?
Something like that. And then Skinner's playing pretty good again.
We got fucking strangled. We got shut out twice.
By Stuart Skinner. Yeah. I mean, I said I obviously I'm not cheering for the Oilers. I'm not cheering for any of those teams. I just said the way they're playing reminds me of Florida last year, of a team that's we got our asses kicked. We want to win.
It's like I said. Apparently, the hot thing now is if you get embarrassed in the Cup Finals, you come back and you rectify your wrongs. But
I mean, I'm not gonna. I don't know either how this series is gonna go. I think it's gonna be tight, but either we have a repeat champion again, or Canada's got their first cup in 30 years.
Yeah,
it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be tight because both these teams are playing crazy well. They're defending well. Their goaltenders are playing well. All their forwards are scoring. Everybody's healthy.
Yeah,
or as healthy as you can be at this point in the playoffs.
Oh, they missed Hyman's out for the playoffs for the rest.
That's true. That's a big loss. I mean,
but I don't know. Edmonton's just got that vibe this year. Again, not saying they're going to win, and I hope they don't, because as much as I don't like the Panthers, I despise Edmonton.
Yeah. It's like have you seen the things where like, wow, I want Edmonton to win, or like from our own fans, I want Edmonton to win because they're in the Pacific. I'm like, No.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody in the Pacific that's not us to win.
No, exactly. Well, I was about to ask him, like, how do you feel about like going on the team subreddit and seeing all these people saying, "Well, I'm going for the Oilers. Fuck it, I'm going for the Oilers."
I'm gonna pull the cuck chair out for you so you can go watch in the corner while these two teams play.
No, literally, like, yeah, go sit in the fucking cuck chair if you're sitting there on it. Oh, that pisses me off so bad, and it low key makes me. Not to criticize our own fans, but it low-key makes me feel like, are people right when they say Vegas doesn't have real fans? I'm like, if you're a real fan, how are you cheering for your biggest divisional rival?
Yeah, because you would
mean?
never see, if this was for you don't see anybody in Tampa cheering for the Florida Panthers, or
you think any Stars fans were or any Avs fans were cheering for the Stars?
No,
yeah.
look. Here's why. There's one fan base we used to not like them, but I like them now. One, because they have quite a couple of our players. But they've never wronged me. The Calgary Flames. Their hatred runs extremely deep, and obviously they share a province, right? They're not that far from each other, but they hate if there's some fan base that hates the Oilers more than you and I do, it's the entire city of Calgary.
Good.
They despise the Oilers.
Never thought I would find anything in common.
You think a Kings fan's gonna want the Oilers to win? Yeah, go fuck. No way. There's no chance in hell. But it's no. I get it. Like, you're like, oh, it's a good story. I'm like,
no, it's not.
It's not.
Not for me.
It's a rival fan base. You don't cheer for. I'm a Dodgers fan. I'm never gonna cheer for the fucking Padres.
Yeah.
My wife's a Yankees fan. When the Yankees when the Dodgers beat the Yankees last year in the World Series, she had to go upstairs for 2 hours and cool off because she was so fucking angry.
Yeah, valid.
Valid.
She wasn't just like, well, I'm glad my husband's team won.
No,
she was like, Spock,
That's a sports fan. Isn't it a good story? No. If you're just a pure neutral fan, then okay, you're a fucking weirdo.
Isn't it a good story? I'm like, what are you, a fucking writer for NHL.com?
Or how old are you? 8?
Give me a fucking break. To me, a good story is a good team is built well and fucking wins.
Yeah, that if the Oilers win, that's the story. It's like, it's not Connor McDavid. It's the team was rebuilt well after the fucking Ken Holland fucking disaster.
Well, you know what's a real good story if you're a supposed Golden Knights fan? A good story is the Golden Knights win the fucking cup.
Yeah.
And that's
hang on to that.
End of story.
Hang on to that for the next 5 years.
That's the only good story for a Golden Knights fan.
Exactly. We won literally fucking 2 years ago.
Yeah, and we should have won this year. And since we didn't win, that means it's a bad story.
Yeah, exactly.
And then maybe next year we'll get the good story. I don't know. But the good story will never be like, oh, well, at least McDavid finally. No. Your first-line center is Jack Eichel. You should be laughing every year that passes where he has a cup and McDavid doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the story.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Anyways, they can go beat off in their fucking cuck chairs.
Yeah, that starts, next week, I think?
Well, yeah, because apparently we have to have the fucking cup awarded a week before 4th of fucking July.
Yeah, because it's mid-June.
108 degrees outside.
Jesus Christ. Well, yay.
Yeah, random thing to complain about, but just start the season 2 weeks earlier.
Start in September.
End of September, first week of October. Why not? Anyways,
well,
what we got next on the docket, Alex?
We got some news. I mentioned it. Kraken signed Lane Lambert. Have you talked to your dad about this signing yet?
Yeah, he sent me the post, and I don't know if he was asking for my opinion, but I gave it anyway. But I was just like, oof.
Terrible hire.
Oof.
Terrible hire.
And I tried to spin it. I was like,
he was a coach for 2 seasons? A season, 1.5, right?
The way I tried to spin it for him was, I was like, well, he's been a pretty good assistant on a lot of good teams. Mm-hmm. His only head coaching tenure was not good. But to be fair, that team was also not good. But other than that, pretty uninspired hire, if you ask me.
I mean, when Mike Sullivan's out there and...
No, Mike Sullivan got hired.
By who? Am I crazy?
No, he got hired, didn't he?
He got...
Who did hire Mike Sullivan?
I don't think anybody's hired Mike Sullivan.
No, because it was a crazy... They were talking about his contract and how, oh, yeah, he's the New York Rangers.
Oh, duh.
I almost want... Should we edit that out?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so yeah.
Duh.
Well, because that was another thing I said to him. I was like, well, they're... a month ago, they're like, wow, look at all these great coaches available, and they all got snatched up. Mm-hmm. Tocchet went to Philly. Sullivan went to the Rangers.
They waited too fucking long.
Yeah. So you get Lane.
I would have rather than hired Tortorella instead of fucking Lane Lambert. Make the team work harder.
I would say your options were Lane Lambert or fucking Jay Woodcroft.
I mean, you could be the the Ducks and hire Joel Quenneville.
God. Yeah. I'm still not sure why they. I guess I am sure why they fired Dan Bylsma, but
the Kraken.
Yeah,
I mean,
it just seems a little weird that they only gave him a year, and like the team, like it's just not a well-built team.
I mean, they could have let him install a system for more than a year, and
I just think ultimately, like the system that he wanted them to play to, like they weren't talented enough to play.
Yeah,
like they weren't good enough skaters or smart enough to play, but at the same time, I guess you have to be able to. I don't know. Point is, it's just one more divisional team that we don't have to worry about being.
Yeah, they're not going to be good. Soon. Yeah, I mean, what's Lane Lambert going to do? Even if the roster is good, Lane Lambert's I don't think a good coach. I mean, granted, the Islanders he had weren't good either, but
I think he was the defensive coach for Toronto this year, and they played pretty good defense this year.
Yeah, maybe their defense will be better in Seattle, but they won't score. That was their problem last year. They couldn't score to save their goddamn lives.
Yep.
So then, like we said, Ducks hired Quenneville. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. As I always say, I don't know if it's worth relitigating that whole thing.
No.
But fact of the matter is
especially
he was cleared to coach, and we knew he was going to get hired eventually.
Well, it's kind of bad optics, right? Especially with the trial going on right now with Hockey Canada. Then you hire a guy that quite literally hid knowledge of a sexual assault for multiple years, and Hockey Canada is in the trials right now for the World Juniors incident. Okay, but we don't have to relitigate that. And then the Canucks promoted Foote to head coach.
Foote.
I don't think the Canucks are going to be good, is my opinion.
Have you looked at their depth chart recently?
Well, considering that Brock Besser and Pia Suter probably aren't coming back, it's probably a nightmare.
It is. It is a nightmare. Yeah, I forgot. I was watching one of Grav's videos, and I don't remember what the subject was, but he brought up the roster, and I was just like, Jesus Christ. And I was like, what happened? Remember a year ago? They seemed like a good team.
Remember a year ago they were in the playoffs.
They won the Pacific.
We thought they were going to finish second in the division.
No, we picked them for first.
Did we pick them for first? Well, that's what we got to do this summer is go back and look at those. I think, no, we had originally picked them first, and then we both said, no, Vegas, number one. We both caved, which, hey, we were right on that one. Yeah. Didn't go well.
Not that it led to anything.
Yeah, but we have to go back and look at that. But you look at that roster coming into the season, it was so good, right? It's just the same roster they brought back from last year, aside from maybe a player or two. And then they were dog shit.
Yeah, I mean, Demko got hurt.
Demko's still dealing with an injury.
And then whatever happened with JT Miller and Elias Pettersson and God. It sounds. I don't know if this sounds bad, but it just, again, when I'm counting my blessings, I'm like, it could be worse. We could be Canucks fans.
Yeah, we could be Canucks fans.
The hockey guy can make fun of us for waving our towels during the playoffs, but he's a Canucks fan, so I know he has a lifetime of pain in his heart.
Yeah,
deep, deep pain that he cannot soothe.
And then, I mean, again, it could be worse. It could be Leafs fans.
Very true. I've never had occasion to throw a jersey on the ice.
And they've done it somehow, multiple years in a row now?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just, what do you call it when it's like, the same thing happens? It's like True Detective,
Mediocrity?
It's like True Detective. Time is a flat circle.
That's
everything.
Leafs, yeah.
Everything you've ever done, you'll do over and over again.
Yeah. Jesus.
At least they made it to the second round this year. That's another question to ask. The fact that they took Florida to 7, does that change anything? Do you look back and say, hey, we were the only team that managed to even take a piece out of Florida?
Yeah, I think the Leafs, if they didn't run into Florida, the Leafs could be in the Stanley Cup final right now.
Well, before the playoffs started, I remember saying that. I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, the Leafs, they're different this year, which is, obviously that blew up in my face.
Yeah.
Because I was like, no, man, like, they're playing mean, physical, defensive hockey for the first time ever that I've seen.
Yeah.
I will say that this is why you can't lose fucking, like, 9 years in a row and can't have embarrassing losses, because now you don't have that grace afforded to you in these situations.
Of course.
Like, if they had, like, 1 or 2 conference finals appearances in the last...
Or a cup final appearance.
Like in the Matthews-Marner era, then I think people would have given them some slack for losing to Florida in 7 in the second round. But the fact is you've lost in the first round to the point that it became the oldest joke in hockey. And then the 2 times you made it to the second round, you
got smoked by Florida. Not smoked.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time they got smoked, they
got partially smoked.
Yeah, they took it to 7. They're the only team that took Florida to 7.
That's true.
I would take. You know what? If, say for example, somehow Florida met the Canes and they beat the Canes first, and then Toronto was in the Eastern Conference Final, could go different ways. Like, I feel like if Toronto met any other team other than Florida, they would have advanced. But then that's their next thing they have to get over the. What?
I dropped my strap.
Oh, the next thing they have to get
later.
Next thing they have to get over the hump in is Florida.
Yeah.
They got over the first round hump. They got over Boston. They, now it's Florida's the next thing. But like you said, they don't have that grace anymore.
You've run out of chances, run out of excuses.
Mm-hmm.
It was really that Montreal series, that bubble series that really
turned it on. Yeah, I remember that one.
Things have been ugly since then.
Really ugly. God, that was 5 years ago, huh?
Oh, Christ, that makes me feel old.
But speaking of failures, Lou Lamoriello. We spoke about Lane Lambert. I don't know if you saw a couple little things. The man's burning the crops, salting the field on his way out. Apparently, the deal for Cal Palmieri, 4x4 or 2x4, was done before the new GM came in, and it was just signing it. And then he basically finagled his Nepo baby son into an extended contract for his job.
I say the one that has been leading the Bridgepoint Islanders into
last place in the
historical
AHL.
last place bad AHL standings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that. I didn't realize the Palmieri contract was also by him. I just saw it and I got mad because I was, I know we'll talk about it later, but I was like, oh, that was one of my more realistic winger targets.
Yeah. No, totally.
I was like, oh, yeah, he's not great, but, probably get him on a
get
cheap
the job done,
cheap 2-year deal.
Nope.
But, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's kind of bring back to, like, the whole head coaching carousel, and then also the GM carousel is, like, these old guys just do the same shit.
Yeah.
Wherever they go.
Old boys club,
and it's always the same.
Friends and family.
Always the same fucking dumb mistakes. Like,
well, that was one thing.
That's why I like the Isles hire. Darsh.
Yeah, Matthew Darsh.
Yeah.
After years of being in every fucking conversation for a new GM vacancy, he finally got one.
That's why I like that hire, because he's fresh and he's new and he's going to bring something new to that old ass and fucking decrepit organization. And they're still dealing with Lou's fucking.
Once he deals with the grenade Lou fucking threw over his shoulder.
Well, I mean, Pierre Engvall still signed there, so that's a fucking time bomb that he's waiting to blow up.
Well, he can go play for Lou's son in fucking Bridgeport.
And they're probably. I would hope they're going to be able to figure out how to trade him. But yeah, like that's what I mean. Like, it's just rotating cast, and now Lane Lambert's rotated into that cast.
Another thing with that. Rick Taka gets the Flyers coaching job because he's a former Flyer, and everyone in the.
I still think Rick Tockett's a good coach.
Well, I was going to say I was going to pose that question. I was going to pose that question to you. I'm like, is Rick Tocchet a good coach? Because if you look back at his tenure, he's really only had one good season.
He's better than Lane Lambert.
Probably, yeah, but
better than some of the guys that got. Some of the guys are actively coaching.
But when you look at the Flyers roster, like, are we really expecting him to get anything out of it?
That's why I didn't like them firing Tortorella. I understood them firing Tortorella, but like Tortorella at least got. I know they didn't finish great, but like he got something out of a bad roster.
He squeezed blood from this. Well, that was I said it before, but that was my whole thing when they hired him in the first place. I'm like, wait, you're trying to tank. Why would you hire Tortorella?
Yeah, they should have hired.
If anything, if anything, you're going to get 10 extra wins that are going to
and that's what they did. That's
ruin
your
draft odds.
Yeah, I mean, there's even guys like I'm surprised they didn't get a job like some college head coaches. The guy from like University of Denver.
Well, apparently he interviewed in a lot of places, and it was his decision that he wanted to stay at Denver. He didn't want to go to the NHL.
It's probably the places that were interviewing him. They're like, here's all the dog shit. He's like, I'm just gonna go back to where I get the pick of all the really good fucking 18-year-old kids that'll come to my college and no real responsibilities.
Because I'm pretty sure Seattle interviewed him in a few places. I know a few places did, but and I don't blame him. But it sounds like he was just like, no, he's like, it's much more secure in Denver.
You're winning,
making just as much money.
It's less pressure.
Like I have a family, we're settled in. He's like, I don't need to go to an NHL
because he's young,
job.
Isn't he?
Yeah, get fired in fucking 2 years, pick up my family, move, get fired in another 2.
It's rough. Yeah, you don't have the security you do of like being a college head coach.
Well, as we said, it's a carousel, and I just don't think he wanted to commit to the carousel. He's like, no, I'm actually perfectly happy.
No,
living my best life in Denver.
I get it.
I'm sure he'll hit the NHL eventually, probably when his kids are a little older, and he's like, fuck it, why not?
Yeah, why not? And then I guess there's no good segue into this, but it's a good headline. The U.S. won the World Championships.
Yes, first
world in
ever, or since like
1930, like pre-World War II.
Yeah.
So in like 90 years. So
you know what it is all these guys that didn't make the Four Nations roster.
That's what most of them. Yeah, most of them were.
After Four Nations, there was a lot of chatter about like, well, yeah, if you want to make those teams and make the Olympic teams, and if we invite you to play for Worlds and you tell us to fuck off, like. Why would we ask you back? You already told us to fuck off.
I mean, they had good guys playing. They had Tage Thompson, who scored that game-winning goal against Switzerland.
Who was not at Four Nations.
Not at Four Nations. Clayton Keller.
He was not at Four Nations.
Frank Nazar played really good. I'm forgetting Connor Garland was really, really good. I think he was named player of the tournament. One of the players of the tournament, Logan Cooley, was really good.
Yep.
And then the goaltenders were good, too. Decord and... Swayman were solid in the tournament, and Canada lost to Denmark in the quarterfinal.
The funny part is it was Canada, but it was Canada with Crosby,
actually like really
McKinnon.
Good, fucking like way better than Tage Thompson, Clayton Keller, Crosby, McKinnon.
They basically
Celebrini.
They basically had an
all-star team.
All-star team. Like they basically had everyone minus McDavid.
Yeah, and they had Binnington and Fleury.
And they lost to Jonas Romberg and
Nikolai Ehlers.
And then the rest of the Danes.
And then Denmark.
And then a bunch of people whose names I did not recognize.
Yeah, I think those were literally the two only NHL players on that team. But yeah, it's big for the USA, right? Going into the Olympics coming up this year. Yeah, we lost Four Nations, but international hockey, we've got plenty of time because we're only at 30 minutes. International hockey was never... It has been an important thing, but it was never as highly, important in the U.S., in terms of development. But you see, like, the success in the World Juniors, and now you win a World Championship medal, and you had a great showing at Four Nations. Yeah, you finished in second, but that was a fucking overtime. It was an overtime goal, right?
Yeah.
And you're rolling that into the Olympics. Doesn't that feel like we're going in the right direction, whereas Hockey Canada's coming? They've got the better play. Hockey Canada's got the better pool of players. But
the way the programs are trending it's simple fucking math. Like America has a way bigger population sample.
Yeah.
So eventually, over time, we will have the better players.
Yeah. Just look at the goalies alone. We talked about this at Four Nations. Our fourth goalie would have been better than any. Sorry, Aiden, but our fourth goalie we could have brought in would have been better than any of the three Canadian goalies they had on the roster. I wouldn't put a Canadian goalie. I know Stuart Skinner is in the final, but I wouldn't put a Canadian goalie probably in the top 10 of goalies right now. It's Russians and Americans.
Yeah. That's fair.
Maybe a 9 seed, but it's all Americans and Russians. Connor Hellebuck, Sergei Bobrovsky, Andre Vasilevsky, Markstrom is Swedish, and then fucking Shesterkin and I don't count Swayman as a top goaltender, but no, there's just plenty of great goaltenders, but then it's starting to move that way with forwards and defensemen, right? Like, I know obviously we have ways to catch up with skaters, but they're getting there. I mean, you've got Austin Matthews, you've got Tage Thompson. You've got,
like I said, it really is just a matter of time.
Yeah, like you said, it's population and money invested into it, and Hockey Canada is
as the American program gets more robust and more funding and more widespread, and as the game spreads to places like Las Vegas and places like Seattle and places like Salt Lake City.
Yep, Salt Lake City's going to be a big one. Salt Lake City's got a lot of money.
For all we know, the best future player in the world was born in Salt Lake City 2 weeks ago.
Austin Matthews is from Arizona.
Yep, exactly.
I know he didn't do great in the playoffs, but he's one of the best goal scorers in the league.
Yep.
Jack Eichel, I mean, he was Boston, but it's a hockey town. It's a little bit of hockey, but there's still plenty of that all over. So, like you said, it's going to move forward, and I think if the U.S. can show well at the Olympics, it's just going to boost it more. That was kind of into the rumors, but I want to start it off with a former Golden Knight into some VGK rumors.
Okay.
Jonathan Marchessault said, and it was in a story, that he's open to a trade from the Nashville Predators.
Well, I don't blame him.
No, it's
they were pretty awful.
Fucking disaster there. His contract is, I think, tradable. He's older. It's only $6 million. Stammer's contract is not tradable.
Oh, no.
That's what I mean. Of the contracts they signed, his is the most tradable.
Yeah, but Marshy's going to be fucking 38 at the end of that thing.
That's what I mean. Nashville's going to have to eat.
He's 34 now.
Nashville's going to have to eat probably half of that contract.
Oh, at least.
And then find a third team to launder money with.
Yeah.
So,
I did see a lot of people. A lot of Vegas fans are pushing the idea that he's coming back home. It's not happening.
It's the age thing.
It's not happening.
It's I don't think.
Let me just ask you this, Alex: if management would not sign him to that deal for free,
yep.
Why would they pay assets to reobtain it or to obtain it?
Exactly.
That makes no fucking sense. And I know the only reason people are thinking that's like, well, because we got Smith back. I'm like, yeah, for pennies on the fucking dollar.
Yeah.
We dumped a Philip prospect and we got him at like 1 point something.
And Smith is a year younger, I think, than Marshy is. And also, nothing against Jonathan Marchessault, better defensively.
Yeah, not that Marshy was like really bad defensively. Put it this way: if he was a free agent and we could sign him for $1 million, I'd be like, yeah,
absolutely,
bring him back.
Yeah.
But no, we're not.
Not taking down a $3 million contract when we were looking for cap space to. We have cap, but we need the cap space for future signings and
everyone needs to get this idea out of their fucking head now. It's not happening.
No.
He's not coming back.
Just like Fleury wasn't coming back when his contract was up. It's not happening.
Just accept it, live with it. It's
exactly.
fine.
It's fine.
But interesting. And I will say though, I'm like, well, Marshy, this is what happens when you chase the bag.
Yeah.
You chase the money.
Yeah.
You had the chance. You could have stayed, but you wanted that deal and you got it. Well, a little bit of a poison pill, isn't it?
Yep. Totally agree. And then we talked about this a little bit a couple of weeks ago. Smith is keeping on saying that he wants to be back.
He is very,
very adamant,
very clear that he, the most transparent I've ever seen anyone be at a at a locker room clean out. Basically, all but saying, "Please keep me around."
Yeah, I think we can get him on literally a cheap deal, like $1 million, $1 million and a quarter.
But Alex, how are we going to sign Mitch Marner if we do that?
Well, that's something we want to get to a little later because that's been really floating around. But before we get there, we have been rumored, as is I believe the Pittsburgh Penguins, to be attached to the kind of next big KHL signing, Maxim Shabanov, 24. I think he was led the KHL. 65 games played, 23 goals, 44 assists, 67 points. But watching, he's small. He's like 5'8", I think.
Yeah.
But watching highlights, he's very skilled. very hardworking,
Very
but
dynamic.
very dynamic. But we don't have a great track record with Russians brought over. We got a good track record with Russians drafted or traded for, but not with signed. That's my only fear. And of what would his expectations on salary be to come over?
Yeah, well, exactly, because I've been, especially Jack Manning on Twitter has been, banging the drum on this guy, and rightfully so, because when you're in our situation where you're trying to remain competitive and you don't have a lot of cap space, these are the kind of signings you have to make.
Try something out.
You got to find those diamonds in the rough and hope it works out. And I think I agree, he looks great, but it does kind of feel like another Nikita Gusev situation.
A lot of hype, and
maybe not as much hype as Gusev had, because the whole league was fucking hype for him.
Oh yeah, everybody wanted Gusev, yeah.
But you just never know, because on the flip side, who's the kid from Montreal, Demidov?
Demidov,
he came over and he looked great.
But then again, Demidov's only 19, 20 years old.
Yeah, so
he was drafted, whereas Shabanov, I don't think was ever drafted.
No,
and he is just going to be a KHL signing.
Yeah, and it really, you just never know how guys are gonna. You never know how it's gonna go when you bring someone over from KHL to NHL.
It doesn't always work out.
It's kind of
most of the time it doesn't.
It's a different game, I mean,
isn't
not literally, but
Well, it's a little bit of a different game. Aren't the links wide? The rinks wider?
Yeah, the rinks are
KHL?
fucking huge over there, so that the more compact space makes it hard sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot more space to make those plays.
It's just different culturally, and
But I mean, I think the hard thing when we brought over Gusev and then Shiplikov was we didn't have any Russians on the team at the time. And if we were to bring over this guy, we do have Russians on the team. We have Barbashev, Dorofiev, guys that he could somewhat relate to in his age group, and
some people that he can actually
talk to in his his native language. It's like that big thing in Russia, and not Russia, Jesus, the Russians in Columbus, they're all fucking best buddies. They're all great together, and they look really good together, and their dynamics are really good together. But again, like you said, sometimes you have to take a swing and it misses. But can we take a swing and miss on something like this right now?
I would say yes, if it's the right price.
Yeah, if we can sign,
if it's a 1-year cheap deal.
Yeah, and if say he doesn't work out, we can just put that in the AHL, or or waive him or whatever. Fine with that, but I don't want to be spending $2 million, $3 million in a guy that's unproven.
Agreed.
And granted, I have no idea how the KHL transfer over structure works for a player that's a free agent signing. I don't know if it's got to be a league minimum deal. I have no idea. I don't remember.
I don't know if there even is a rule.
I think it's just sign him for whatever you want. It's
exactly.
He's a free agent, and he's past the age. Yeah, makes sense.
He just terminates his contract over there. And all right, come on down.
Yeah. So we'll see. Plenty of summer.
Could be a good discount source of
scoring. Or a good discount, as his points showed, good discount source of playmaking that'll allow an Eichel or a Dory or a Hurdle to shoot. So, I mean, we'll see. Nothing's decided yet. We can't make any signings until, July 1st. So, it's a ways away. It's a month away. And then the next big thing, the Flyers apparently were in talks, or are in talks right now, or general talks with Golden Knights for a defenseman and a player of the Flyers to swap.
The idea being that swapping a defenseman for a winger, that's what's been.
If it's not Travis Konechny, I don't want anybody on that team.
They're fucking awful.
Sean Couturier is too much money.
And too old, not good.
And all their other younger guys are. Well, the other guy I saw was Owen Tippett.
That's one maybe.
Because he can score. He's good. He's a good player. That's the only maybe on the list that's not an all-star. They're all-star, right?
Yeah, exactly. And people are like, well, they're not going to give up Konechny, you idiot. I'm like, well, then I don't want anything.
I don't want anything. I don't want anything from them. But I'm guessing, leading this into the talk of this player, I'm guessing the defenseman in mind was Nick Hague.
Yes.
He is an RFA, and it's come up. You said that, it
was David Pagnotta
Yeah.
on the fourth period. He said twice that Vegas is actively testing the market for Hague.
like his signing rights?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would say shopping. I don't know if that's
Gauging interest.
Exactly. They're seeing who wants some and what they could get, and I think a lot of people want some, and I think they could probably get something decent.
They could get some draft picks, because either we don't sign them, we control them, and someone else signs them to an RFA deal, and we get their draft picks, like high draft picks, like a first and a third, I think, for his tenure and the money he'd be owed. Or you can trade his rights to us for a second or a third, or a depth player, or make a deal work around multiple pieces. I don't want him to be traded, but we were talking about this the other day of, something's got to move to make the money work.
I say we're in this situation right now where we have kind of two paths forward for this offseason. Either we kind of keep the status quo and we kind of do what we did last year, where we have a couple lottery tickets, cheap deals for guys like Victor Olofsson or Smith or Saad.
Yep.
And then more or less run it back. Or you try to upgrade. If you upgrade, you will need to trade someone off the roster. There's not enough cap space to fill out a roster and then also upgrade significantly.
Yeah, because you can't sign Hague and then also go after a free agent winger. It's either
No, because otherwise your fourth line is going to be like fucking, Romberg and fucking
Lavoie,
and, Schwint.
Yeah. So, if you want to go after a winger, a free agent winger specifically, that's within the money that we could afford, Hague's gone, and then you re-sign some depth, or you sign some depth pieces, right? Or you re-sign some depth pieces, or you bring in Lavoie and Schwint as a more permanent fourth line role. But you brought up a good point. Is I think we would miss Hague. He's a huge guy. He's getting better every year at playing his game, playing defense. He's big. He's mean. Physical. But then we all forget, Caden Korczak's 6'4".
Yeah.
Caden Korczak's a big guy, and he's also very young. He can get physical, and he can really move the puck. But he's also can get really mean. I remember when, it had to be 2 or 3 years ago when they first opened up Now Lee's Forum, that there was that big fight with Cotter, and I think they were playing the Roadrunners, and when Cotter was on the video screen pointing at someone on the Roadrunners saying, "I'll fucking kill you," Korczak was involved in that brawl, and he beat the shit out of somebody. So yeah, Korczak's not afraid to be physical, but that's all. The whole question is: are you going to lose a guy like Hague that could be a top? He already is a top 4 defenseman on any team anywhere, right?
On a cup winner.
Yeah, he was a top 4 defenseman on a cup winner. He could be a top 2 defenseman in his future because of his size, his physicality, his reach, his ability. He could turn into the next, replacement of Pietrangelo, right? Maybe not as much money, not as good, but he's been taught by a lot of good defensemen. Do you trade that with that value, knowing that you have a Korczak, you have a Cormier, you have a lot of defensive prospects in the pipeline? You have Seedorf and Fleming and Artur Cholak, and there's a lot of guys that are in the hopper, right, that need room. But do you sacrifice Hague for that based on the money you need to save?
Well, yeah, because it's everything that he offers, and it's also just the fact that he's under team control.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Yeah,
that's huge for negotiating
he's not a UFA.
deal.
He's an RFA right now, yeah.
RFA is just code for, we can underpay you.
Yeah, you can take us to arbitration, but I don't think he's got arbitration rights this year.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think he does, but we sign you to the contract we want to sign you to, or someone overpays you when we get assets back. So it could be a matter of Kelly McCrimmon just sitting back and waiting, because he technically doesn't have to sign him.
Or maybe, I was gonna say, or maybe it's a case of he knows someone might come at him with an offer sheet, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna make the deal that I want to make," and either get a piece back or
Very true, because McCrimmon knows he can either wait and get, because we hold all the value here with an RFA, we control his rights. And if someone else signs him to the deal that he'll get, which we thought was in the $4 million, that's going to guarantee us a first-round draft pick. So either way, we're getting assets back. But like you said, he wants to control the what will I get back if
I think people are really underestimating what he would fetch, because I think it would. Yeah, I think
it's going to be.
It would be.
It's going to be 4+ easily.
Yeah, so it would be a first-round plus more.
Well, in an RFA terms, if he signed, I was looking at the tiers the other day. I think it was $4 million to $6 million or something like that. There's like a whole tier system. Mm-hmm. You get a first and a third, and that's really what he would be at. But if you trade him, you can get a prospect or a depth player and a first or a second, because defensemen like him don't grow on fucking trees.
They really don't, because he is the tree.
He is the tree. He's there. You don't. How many right now at his level? How many 6'6", 250-pound plus good defensemen are there in the league that are on long contracts? Victor Hedman's signed until he retires.
Yeah,
like.
No, it really is that simple. And
big guy,
it drives me crazy when
big defenseman.
When people are like, "Oh, what does he have besides being big?" And I'm like,
"You don't watch the game."
I'm like, "That's enough." One,
that's enough.
That's enough.
That's enough.
And two, he's not like a fucking pylon, Like he plays.
He can skate. He can skate. He's taking good angles. He was pretty good in the playoffs. He wasn't our worst defenseman.
Yeah, he plays on the PK. Played on the PK against fucking Edmonton.
Yeah, and played pretty goddamn well. Was a key part of the cup run.
That was like our only good thing in that series.
Was PK.
Was the goddamn PK.
Yeah, and he's played really well. He's got pedigree too. He's played a ton of games.
And when we do have success, what's the first thing people always say about us? Well, they got those big D back there, big mobile D. They got long reach. They're strong. They're mean. They're nasty.
Yep. But that's also the thing of, if we do have to get rid of, but if we have to get rid of Haig, or we do trade him, or we don't sign him, you've got a guy that's just as big and younger right behind him that's ready to play.
Yeah.
Which a lot of teams don't have. Most teams don't have that, ability to go, okay, we still have a guy that's 6'4" and also 22, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want him to be traded, but I understand like you said, it's going to go one of two ways. Either we trade pieces to upgrade the forwards,
or we just more or less run it back,
and then we sign a couple, like we said, sign a couple lottery tickets, maybe sign the Russian guy, see what happens, work it out. I think you get a grace period for 2 to 3 years after winning a cup, and then the pressure gets back on you, especially with Bill Foley. But it's quickly see what will happen come July 1st. It's those two options. Either they re-sign everybody, run it back, or blow it up. Not blow it up, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I was like, blow it up.
Not blow it up, but make a splash.
Yes.
We're not in the position to trade everybody. We're rebuilding. Never. I don't think Bill Foley's ever going to let the team be in that position.
No.
We're going to make a big splash and blow up the market.
Yes.
So
blow up the fans' expectations.
Leading into that, there's been quite a lot of, speaking of Haig, quite a lot of Mitch Marner in Vegas rumors in the last couple weeks, especially since the Leafs were eliminated and we were eliminated, and after the locker room cleanouts for the Leafs, Mitch Marner kind of essentially said, without saying it, he said, "Oh, I've loved it here."
Very past tense.
Past tense. It's telling me that he's not coming back.
It's very clear that he is not going back.
Or does not want to come back. I don't blame him.
I wouldn't either.
He's in the playoffs he's disappeared here and there. But he turned the turned the leaf this year. That was that thing of he was when they were getting their asses kicked one game. He was yelling at the bench like to get fucking going.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Oh, it's pretty sweet for him to yell that he's got no points." I'm like, someone's got to say it. Like, what do you want him to do? Go
what always killed
cry
me
again? Like,
everyone's fucking biggest criticism of him has always been like, he doesn't even care. He's just here for the money. He's soft. He doesn't care. And then as soon as he shows some emotion, gets mad and shows that he cares, people are like, "Whoa, get a load of this guy. Why don't you look in the mirror, pal?"
Give me a break. Yeah.
Give me a fucking break.
Yeah. But the first...
I was going to say, apparently he took a lot from playing with Crosby at Four Nations. Like, apparently, like, he really, like, changed his mindset and, I guess that from what I heard from, Leaf sources is it really helped him calm down in the playoffs. And
good.
Well, I mean, yelling people to wake up isn't calming down, but, keeping that, like, mindset
turning
that
more
you
into
need.
a leader than
not crying.
Not crying, yeah, exactly.
But, it seems like he's gone, and usually I kind of roll my eyes when people link everyone to Vegas. Like, oh, as soon as a big player is available, like, well, he's going to Vegas. I'm like, oh, it's because despite what Brian Burke thinks, people want to play here.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to fucking... People want to play here and play in Florida.
Yeah.
It's basically that.
I mean, he could always look at Eichel. Like, look at Eichel coming from a shitty situation.
Well, I was going to say, does this not remind you? Remember how everyone talked about Jack Eichel before he got traded? And now, same thing with Mitch Marner. Everyone's talking about, like, oh, he'll never win. He's a loser. He's this. He's that. And one thing, what did McCrimmon say when Jack Eichel, after we signed Jack Eichel, said players like of this caliber don't become available very often.
No.
How often does a perennial 100-point scorer,
Selke
contender, winger come along?
The last one granted, Jack wasn't a free agent, but Jack Eichel was the last one that was remotely available, right?
Yeah.
Even in trade talks, like Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews, those guys, Nikita Kucherov, those guys come available. It's not often. Mikko Rantanen this year, but that was only because of money.
And no one knew he was available. It just happened.
No, it just happened. That was the surprise. Everybody was like the talks were the
and
contract
this
talks
is a
were
free
summer.
agent, and this will be the free agent signing.
Yeah,
because one of the reasons why I kept saying like, well, we're not going to trade for anyone is because we don't have anything to fucking trade.
No. This is the easiest way to access a all-star.
Yes.
But to access this all-star, we're going to have to give up something to make room, right? We won't be able to bring back Haig.
We would have to trade someone else.
We'd only be able to bring back Smith and maybe one other depth guy for like $1 million. And then we're going to have to trade a contract like Barbashev or Waugh or Carl, something that's over $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I don't know if it's me or if it's just his showing in the playoffs or if it's just kind of he had 20-plus goals this year, and you already know where this is going. I wouldn't mind if I like the player. I really like what he's done. I wouldn't mind if Barbashev was the guy to go in this situation. He's got $5 million. I would not want to trade William Karlsson. He is a key cog in the machine. And, yeah, it's a nostalgia thing, but he still was one of our best players in the playoffs, one of our best players down the stretch, has been consistently one of our best players in the on the team. And he'll also only makes like, what, 6, I think?
Barely.
Not a lot. And then Waugh, yeah, he took that shitty high-sticking call. But he was pretty good in the playoffs. His plus-minus might not show it, but his play really showed it, how good he was playing. Unfortunately, it's going to have to be a guy like that you're going to have to trade out if you want to bring Mitch Marner in and sign him for $12 to $13 million.
Well, I don't want to get into, who I'd be willing to let go of or not quite yet until, it seems a little more like it's happening.
In a month.
What I will say is, I'll just boil it down to this. If you had to let go of Haig and then one other, core piece to bring in Mitch Marner, do you do it?
Yes.
I think yes, too. And I feel like I'm crazy for saying that because I don't know, like for the longest time, he was always my go-to example of guys that you don't want on your team, like guys that don't have that dog in them, that can't perform in the playoffs. But I don't know. Like I said, apparently he had this huge mindset shift with playing with Crosby. I'm like, well, if he comes here where, one, it's less pressure, and two, there's like a
better coach.
Yeah, a better coach, a
better fan base,
strong locker room. I think he could thrive here, He could, and then people would be pissing their pants over, like, oh my god, I didn't know he had this.
You're telling me that the locker room right now with Stone and Petro and Eichel, Carlson, McNabb, like that's not a better locker room than what the Leafs have right now. Like not a more mentally stable locker room.
I mean, not to turn this into randomly dumping on the Leafs, but like, dude, like Austin Matthews is not a captain.
No,
like that
was the dumbest thing. John Tavares, I think, is a captain.
Yeah.
But that was to strip him of the captaincy. Yeah, that takes a lot of optics off of Tavares, right? And helps him a little bit. And Tavares had a really good season.
Mm-hmm.
And put it on to Matthews. You're just making... I think Matthews is a great hockey player. I don't think he's a captain type of player, if that makes sense. Like, there's players that are hockey players, and there's players that are captains.
You need the big dog.
Like
that big dog mentality.
Alex Pietrangelo is a captain. He was a captain. Mark Stone's a captain. Carlson would be a captain anywhere else. Jack Eichel would be a captain.
He was a
captain. I just don't think Matthews has that, and I think Marner's looking for a change, but a change in that the pressure isn't ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's why he singled out us in Florida. Because look at Florida; they won a cup last year, and they're not dealing with a bunch of pressure. They're like, oh, here we go, back again.
That was something that Chris Johnston kind of broke, was that Marner's had a lot of instances with fans.
Yeah.
Like uncomfortable instances of like fans like approaching him or following him or yelling things at him or yelling things at his family, like.
Yeah, he just had a baby, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So like things where he either didn't feel safe or feel comfortable.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
So I'm like, yeah, and to me, I think that's
Leafs fans are fucking animals. Like,
yeah, and to me, that's the key reason why he's not going back. And again, the key reason why, Vegas has a good reputation for that shit.
I mean, look at Marshy. Like when he left, he just said all he said was he kept saying that the fans love you. They're really appreciative. They don't pile on you. They don't come at you. They're like they'll be respectful. They'll wait. They're not. No one's crazy in this. There are crazy people in this town. The fans aren't insane in a bad way.
Yeah,
they love the Golden Knights, but they're not following you to your car and fucking yelling at you or yelling at your fucking newborn. Like, like what the fuck?
Yeah. So. And apparently this is like real news too, not like bullshit news, but like there's mutual interest between Vegas and Marner. We're on his list of like 7 or 8 teams that he wants to go to. And one thing we didn't mention, they were Vegas and Toronto were in active trade talks to bring Marner to Vegas last year.
This, right?
Yeah. And the supposed deal, Toronto was asking for Shea Theodore, and Vegas was like, no.
Yeah. I don't blame McCrimmon or McPhee and
it's funny because I think I mentioned this quote once before, but he didn't say what team it was with or what player it was for. Mm-hmm. But I guess this is where this quote comes from, where they asked for Shea Theodore, and he's like, if you want to see Shea Theodore play, you can buy a ticket and watch him play for us. Because he ain't going anywhere.
No, and then they immediately signed him to an extension that fall. So,
how much do you think Marner would take to play here?
He makes what, 11 and change right now, or 11 even?
I want to say like 11. The number I keep hearing is 14.
But that was what someone did a tax analysis. I don't know who it was, but you said you saw it. He would make $2 extra million here versus anywhere else, or versus Toronto or any other tax state. So really, 14 would be 16 here. So he could, I mean, 12 and a half, $13 million.
I think so, but I'm almost wondering, like, Vegas is kind of become like the way Boston was, where like people would just like take less. Granted, this is a free agent signing. A free agent signing. It's not like, you know, he played here for 5 years and then was like, okay, yeah, I'll take a cheap deal.
Yeah,
but like, you know, like Shea Theodore, he took $7 million.
He could have made a lot more money.
That's insane. I don't know. I almost wondering. I feel like it could be done for like, you know, 11 or 12.
I would 12. I mean,
because if he took the exact same deal now that he had in Toronto,
he'd be making 13.
It would effectively be a bump.
Yeah,
the bump that he's looking for.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly, and he'd be in a much better situation.
Yes.
Right? But I also wanted to list some of the free agents that are out there, you know, versus his stats. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Marner played 81 games. Had 27 goals, 75 assists, 102 points.
102 points.
Great
boys.
season. Great
102
season.
points.
Nikolai Ehlers, 69 games played, 24 goals, 39 assists, 63 points. Also not a career 100-point guy. Ryan Donato, 80 games played, 31 goals, 31 assists, 62 points. Brock Besser, 75 games played, 25 goals, 25 assists, 50 points. P.S. Suter, 81 games played, 25 goals, 21 assists, 46 points. So that's kind of the comparable wingers and centers that are out there. I excluded a few guys out of bias, like John Tavares. I don't want John Tavares.
I don't think he's going to leave Toronto.
I don't think he's going to leave Toronto either. He's a sick puppy.
I think he'll just take a pay cut.
And stay there. I mean, obviously he's the most talented player available, and plenty of other teams are going to want to sign him. But there's not a lot of contenders that can, right?
Yeah. Well,
Or
I mean,
would move mountain and earth to do that.
Well, I mean, you know, we look at our cap situation and it's not great, but dude, like fucking Dallas.
Yeah,
Dallas is fucked. Dude.
Yeah, let me.
This
look.
is like their last. This is like their best chance to win.
Yeah. So let me bring up. So Dallas only has $5 million in cap space next year, and they have to sign seven players.
Jesus.
They got 16 out of 23 players, $5 million in cap space. St. Louis, $5 million, but only one body to sign. Montreal, $6 million in cap space, 3 players to sign. That's with the Carey Price contract, not on LTIR.
Okay.
And that's coming to an end soon. The Rangers, $8 million with 4 players to sign. Avalanche, $8 million with 5 players to sign. Caps, 9.4 with 3 players to sign, and then us 9.6 with 5 players to sign.
So yeah, not a lot of wiggle room out there for people.
Nope, not
even with the cap going up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't be surprised if, you know, Utah and Columbus and Anaheim are going to make some
swings.
Big swings, because Columbus has got, get this, $40 million in cap space.
Jesus.
They only have to sign 5 players.
I can totally see. Hey, you're looking for a quiet market, nice place to raise your kids.
Yeah.
Fucking look no further.
Columbus, all they have on UFA, JVR, Sean Corrali, Kevin LeBlanc. I think he's retiring. And then Voronikov would be the one guy they would want to re-sign.
Yeah.
And then their defense, it's just Provorov and Dante Fabro, Jordan Harris. That's not going to take a lot of money, man.
No.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, obviously it's Columbus, but I wouldn't be surprised, maybe not Marner, but like I wouldn't be surprised if Nikolai Ehlers is a Columbus Blue Jacket, or if Brock Besser is there, or they sign.
The only thing that makes me worry about all this is because of situations like that, I can already tell this is going to be an off season where some stupid money gets signed.
Well,
out.
that's what happened last year. Look at Nashville. Look at Steven Stamkos.
Stupid money.
8x8, right, for mid-30s.
Well, I think it was like an 8x4.
Or it was $8 million a year for 4 years, or whatever. It was too much money.
Point being, even at only 4 years, it's already untradeable.
Yeah, exactly. You think last year was dumb? This year's gonna be dumber. Like
Yeah.
but you would hope some of the GMs are smart. Obviously, we know McCormick's very smart. He's not going to do anything dumb. But there's going to be a lot of money thrown around. That's like you said, the one thing that worries about me with Marner is, would he be willing to take a $12 million deal in Vegas, or can he go swindle Columbus, or
give me that 15.3,
or Utah for $15 million, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. But that was kind of a quick little look where we're at. I mean,
yeah,
we really don't have anything. It's May 31st.
Rent's due tomorrow.
I already paid it. Trust me. Paid it after going to San Diego. Boy. But what? We got the Cup final over the next couple weeks.
Yeah. Then free agency and
July 1st, right?
The draft.
Because the draft's the end of June, and then free agency is when you can start signing. So that'd be the next big thing. Because we can't do anything until July 1st. It's just rumors until then.
Yeah.
But I think it'll move fast. Once free agency happens, then you get like a good flurry of deals, and you get a lot of movements and a lot of trades, and then all of a sudden it's fucking August and training camp is starting.
Yeah, so maybe after the Cup's awarded, we can meet back up and then do a little free agent preview.
Exactly. We still have to figure out that interview, so we'll have to talk to Tyler. But yeah, I mean, I think we're good for now. I mean, talked about a few outstanding things. Until next time.
Are you actually going to watch any of the final?
Maybe one game.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to.
I mean, I don't think my wife's going to allow me to because it's not the Golden Knights.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple games.
That's valid.
Maybe a couple games, but overall, not a big deal. I'll watch the last one. If one of the two get it to game 3, I'll watch game 4. Right?
Yeah, I don't think I've watched a full game since we got eliminated.
No, I've only put it on for a few minutes.
I did not watch a single second of Edmonton versus Dallas.
No, neither did I.
I was too full of hate.
I only watched bits and pieces of the Florida and Carolina game just because of Victoria's best friend is a big Canes fan. So watched a little bit. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll cheer for her, and then they got eliminated. I'm like, ooh, sorry. But until next time, stay gold. Don't die in the heat.
I would say stay gold, stay cool.
Stay cool. Stay inside. Still get a nice cool beer at Mojave Brewing on Water Street. It's a great place to be. Great beers.
Go see a movie. Go get a nice cherry icy.
Cherry icy.
Go to a pool.
Go to many places. Stay out of the heat. Just don't be outside.
Don't
be outside without having a cooling factor to it.
Yes.
You'll die.
You will.
Stay gold. Stay alive. Stay out of the heat.
Bye.